guys, today I've got Mark Newman in the workshop with me. He's here to collect his new bass. And before we demo the bass, a couple of words with Mark, and we're going to explain how the EQ works and how the bass came about, etc. So Mark, what was your ideas when you first thought about having this bass made? What sort of went through your mind?
But the idea, I think, Mike, was to duplicate the sort of EQ setup I had on a bass when I was a youngster, which was an Aria SB 900. So those of you who are not familiar with the bass, that's a two pickup passive bass, same body shape as the famous SB 1000, and the control array was a volume and a tone for each of the pickups, and a series parallel switch, I think, for each of the pickups. Well, that's what we went with here. I can't remember if the original SB 900 was a coil tap for each pickup. And I remember that when I was a youngster giving me a huge amount of versatility and flexibility. And then when we talked about the bass, it also tied in with you developing your own wall type pickups. You had made me a Wal-a-Like bass before with an active EQ, a filter EQ. And the supplier was unable to supply us new pickups. So at that stage, you were thinking seriously about developing your own pickups, and it all just tied in together with the new spec.
Right, okay. So I'm going to just sort of, like, if Mark can hold the bass a little bit closer to the camera, I'm going to explain a little bit more about the specifications. So the two pickups are multi-coils. They're basically a traditional Wal style pickup, wound the old way, which allows us to do series parallel switching on the passive EQ. So this is a passive EQ, it's not the active filter EQ, it's passive. So you've got two volumes and two tone controls, and the tone controls pull up for series parallel. So you can have either or either or again on each pickup. Now, I tried to keep the signal path from the pickups all the way to the jack socket as separate as possible, so there was very little crosstalk. And the way I did that was that I've used two different values of capacitors on the tone controls, effectively tuning the neck pickup and the bridge pickup to slightly different frequencies on the tone controls. As I said, when you cut, because that's basically what a passive tone control does, it cuts treble frequencies to earth. But the only point that they actually meet is at the jack, because it's a mono jack, obviously being a passive bass. And what I did there was I separated the two signals with 56k resistors that ultimately had to be sort of connected together on the tip of the jack socket itself. So I kept the two signal paths as separate as humanly possible until they actually got to the jack. And as I say, I used those two 56k resistors to help with that as well. So there we are. We've got the two handmade pickups that are made here at Zoot Bass Central workshop. And the body is wenge with Pulvonia as a core, and if I can come round the side of Mark, wenge again on the back. The neck is a section of roasted flame maple with mahogany and a couple of pinstripes or stringers running through. The dots on the side are actually loom inlays, and they are the green loom inlays. And the fingerboard is Zerakote, and there's a headstock. And the hardware, apart from the bridge, is all hip shot. The bridge is one of my own Iceni mass bridges made from brass. I used to make these years ago, and I had a few left over, and Mark decided that he'd quite like one of those on this particular bass. So that's a little insight into the bass itself. Oh, the other thing of it is it's a 32-inch scale, and Mark's preference on strings are the new tone strings, my friend Neil. And the gauge, Mark, is
42 to 96, Mike.
42 to 96, and that's actually the gauge of strings that are on the bass. Mark, how low is the action, and how well does that feel?
The action is extremely low. It suits me fine because I'm quite a light player. Other players might find it actually too low, but I would rather have the flexibility to go as low as I like, rather than not get it down low enough. It's incredibly low. Yeah.
So, okay, what I'd like you to do then, Mark, if it's okay, is sort of basically demonstrate the bass and the way that passive EQ works, and see what tones we're getting. Now, please remember, guys, that I'm filming this with a smartphone, so it's not going through any computer systems or DAWs or audio interfaces or anything. The signal path is straight out of the bass into the cool tuner, out of the cool tuner, and into the Mark bass head. And you can see where the controls are set there on the Mark bass head, and then into the 112. Okay then, Mark, are we happy to sort of demonstrate the extremities of the EQ and some of the tones that the passive EQ can produce?
Yeah.
So what are we doing first?
So this is sort of the core tone, I reckon, of the bass mic. You've got both pickups on full. You've got both tones on full, so they're not backed off at all. And both pickups are in series as well. And it sounds like this. Then if we do the same thing, but if we back the tones off on both pickups, so this is the extreme in its core tone. So these are now backed off fully. It's a lot different. So there's variations between those two. So if we just solo the bridge pickup with the tone up full blast, and then same thing with the neck pickup. Both pickups are full. Now we'll just fiddle with the fiddle. We'll engage the parallel for the bridge pickup. And if we solo the bridge pickup with that. Same thing again with the neck pickup, we'll just solo that. This is what it sounds like in series. And now in parallel. So those are the extremes of the EQ, I think, Mike. Okay. Then obviously you've got a lot of flexibility with just variations between those.
So you pleased with that, Mark?
Love it. Absolutely love it, yeah.
Ah, good. Righto, thank you very much.